Basketball is a game of athleticism, speed, and raw power. Or at least, that's what most people believe. Superstars like LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo dominate with their physical gifts, while players like Ja Morant explode past defenders with lightning speed. But what if there was another way? What if a player could dominate without being the fastest or strongest on the court? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is proof that intelligence, skill, and timing can be just as lethal as raw athleticism. Yet, despite his success, some critics have questioned his basketball IQ, arguing that he lacks the natural instincts of a true superstar. Is that really the case? Or are we simply misunderstanding his unique approach to the game? In this video, we'll break down why SGA is one of the most underrated players in the NBA today. We'll analyze his playing style, his ability to control the tempo of a game, and how he consistently outsmarts defenders. By the end, you'll see why Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not just a rising star, but a future MVP candidate. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wasn't always seen as a future NBA superstar. Born in Toronto, Canada, and raised in Hamilton, Ontario, he wasn't a highly ranked prospect coming out of high school. Unlike generational talents who dominate from a young age, Shai had to earn his recognition through relentless work and steady improvement. His journey was never about being the most athletic or naturally gifted. It was about mastering the game in ways others overlooked. His breakout moment came at the University of Kentucky, a program known for producing NBA stars. Initially coming off the bench, Shai quickly proved he was more than just a role player. His poise, court vision, and ability to manipulate defenses stood out. By the end of the season, he had taken over as the team's starting point guard and led them deep into the NCAA tournament. That performance caught the attention of NBA scouts, leading to his selection as the 11th overall pick in the 2018 NBA draft by the Charlotte Hornets, only to be immediately traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. His rookie season was impressive, but it was his move to the Oklahoma City Thunder that truly changed the trajectory of his career. Since arriving in OKC, Shai has transformed from a promising young player into an elite-level scorer and playmaker. But as his stardom has risen, so have the questions. Critics argue that his decision-making lacks the instinctual brilliance of true greats. But is that really the case? Despite his undeniable success, a surprising criticism has followed Shai Gilgeous-Alexander throughout his career: claims that he lacks high basketball IQ. It's an odd take for a player who has consistently elevated his game and turned the Oklahoma City Thunder into a playoff contender. So where does this perception come from? One explanation is that Shai doesn't fit the traditional mold of a dominant NBA superstar. He doesn't rely on overwhelming athleticism, nor does he impose his will in an explosive, high-energy manner. Instead, he plays at his own pace, methodically picking apart defenses. His unhurried style can sometimes be mistaken for passivity, leading some analysts to question whether he truly has the instincts of an elite playmaker. However, the numbers tell a different story. In the 2022-23 season, Shai averaged over 30 points per game on incredibly efficient shooting, ranking among the league's best in drives per game and free throw attempts. His ability to consistently generate high-percentage shots and manipulate defenders suggests not a lack of intelligence, but a deeper understanding of the game. This isn't the first time a slower-paced, methodical player has been misunderstood. NBA legends like Tim Duncan and Luka Doncic faced similar skepticism early in their careers, only to prove that basketball IQ isn't about flashiness, it's about results. So, if Shai isn't succeeding through sheer athleticism, how exactly is he dominating the game? The answer lies in the nuances of his playing style. At first glance, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't fit the profile of a dominant scorer. He isn't the fastest guard, doesn't have an elite vertical leap, and doesn't rely on raw power to bulldoze through defenders. And yet, he consistently puts up elite numbers against the NBA's best defenses. His game isn't about overwhelming opponents. It's about outthinking them. 1. Elite pace control. One of SGA's greatest weapons is his ability to dictate tempo. Unlike hyper-athletic guards who explode toward the rim at full speed, Shai operates at a methodical pace. He constantly shifts gears, using hesitations, slow-down dribbles, and sudden accelerations to throw defenders off balance. This ability to control pace is what makes him so deadly in isolation situations. Defenders never know when he'll make his move. 2. Footwork and body control. Shai's footwork is another key component of his offensive mastery. His Euro step, spin moves, and crafty pivots allow him to maneuver through traffic effortlessly. He also uses his length to his advantage, extending his arms for off-balance layups that seem impossible to block. Instead of relying on brute force, he creates angles that defenders struggle to contest. 3. Mid-range efficiency. In an NBA that has shifted toward three-point heavy offenses, Shai has embraced a skill that many have abandoned: the mid-range game. He's one of the most efficient scorers from inside the arc, using pull-ups, fadeaways, and step-backs to punish defenders who sag off him. This ability forces defenders into a tough choice: press up on him and risk getting blown by, or back off and allow him to score at will. Playmaking and reading defenses. Shai's decision-making is another sign of his high basketball IQ. He doesn't just score, he reads defenses in real time, reacting to rotations and exploiting gaps. Whether it's finding open teammates in the dunker's spot, throwing cross-court passes, or manipulating defenders in the pick and roll, Shai's playmaking is far more advanced than most give him credit for. 5. Drawing fouls and getting to the line. Finally, one of Shai's most underrated skills is his ability to draw fouls. He ranked among the league leaders in free throw attempts per game, using ball fakes, contact absorption, and deceptive movement to bait defenders into making mistakes. This skill not only racks up easy points, but also puts pressure on opposing defenses by forcing them into foul trouble. Shai's dominance isn't about overwhelming physical tools. It's about skill, intelligence, and precision. But how does he compare to other elite guards in the league? That's where things get even more interesting. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a unique talent, but to truly understand his impact, it helps to compare him with other top guards in the league. While players like Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox rely on explosive speed, and others like Stephen Curry and Damian Lillard use deep shooting range to break down defenses, Shai's style is different, more calculated, more deliberate, yet just as effective. Luka Doncic versus Shai. Masters of pace. Among today's stars, Luka Doncic is perhaps the closest comparison to Shai. Neither player relies on elite athleticism, yet both consistently find ways to score efficiently. Luka, like Shai, uses changes of pace, elite footwork, and body control to manipulate defenses. The difference? Luka operates with more physicality and three-point volume, while Shai focuses on slashing and mid-range efficiency. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, crafty and efficient. Looking at past players, Shai shares similarities with Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. Parker's ability to weave through defenses with controlled speed mirrors Shai's approach, while Ginobili's unorthodox finishing and crafty moves resemble how Shai scores inside. Both were incredibly efficient despite not being physically overpowering, just like SGA. Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox, the athletic contrast. Unlike Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox, who rely on sheer burst to break down defenses, Shai's approach is slower, more methodical. Yet, in many ways, it's just as unstoppable. While Ja and Fox need their elite speed to create separation, Shai does it through hesitation moves, angles, and footwork. His efficiency often surpasses that of more athletic players, proving that skill and IQ can match physical gifts. What makes these comparisons fascinating is that despite not fitting the mold of a traditional superstar, Shai is already producing elite numbers. And his impact goes beyond individual stats. He's changing the trajectory of the Oklahoma City Thunder. When Shai Gilgeous-Alexander arrived in Oklahoma City, the Thunder were entering a full-scale rebuild. The team had just traded away superstars like Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Chris Paul, signaling the start of a long-term restructuring. At the time, many saw Shai as a solid young player, but few expected him to become the face of the franchise. Fast forward a few seasons, and he's not only the centerpiece of the Thunder, he's leading them back to contention, transforming a young roster into a playoff threat. Despite playing with one of the youngest rosters in the league, Shai has elevated OKC far beyond expectations. His leadership on and off the court has been instrumental in developing players like Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren. Instead of waiting for a veteran star to arrive, Shai has embraced the challenge of being the primary leader, guiding the team through tough matchups and high-pressure moments. Statistical dominance and leadership. SGA's numbers speak for themselves. In the 2022-23 season, he averaged over 30 points per game, shooting efficiently, while also contributing with rebounds, assists, and elite defense. His ability to take over games in clutch situations has given OKC a true go-to scorer, something the team lacked in the post-Westbrook era. Building a future contender. The Thunder aren't just a rebuilding team anymore. They're a rising contender. With one of the best young cores in the NBA and an absurd amount of future draft picks, OKC is set up for sustained success. And at the center of it all, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, proving that a team doesn't need a traditional superstar blueprint to thrive. But can he take them to the next level? That's where the MVP conversation begins. The leap from star to MVP contender is one of the hardest jumps in the NBA. It's not just about putting up big numbers. It's about impacting winning, elevating teammates, and proving that a team can consistently compete at the highest level. So, does Shai Gilgeous-Alexander check those boxes? Elite production and efficiency MVP caliber players dominate statistically, and SGA has already reached that level. Averaging over 30 points per game, shooting with elite efficiency, and ranking among the best in drives per game and free throw attempts, he's producing numbers that match or even surpass past MVPs. His ability to score efficiently without relying heavily on three-pointers is a testament to his skill and control. Defensive growth and two-way impact. One of the most underrated aspects of SGA's game is his defense. Unlike many high-usage scorers, he takes pride in guarding elite players, using his 6 feet 6 inches frame and 6 feet 11 inches wingspan to disrupt passing lanes and contest shots. His defensive improvement makes him one of the most well-rounded superstars in the league. Team success, the key to MVP consideration. For Shai to enter serious MVP discussions, the Thunder need to win. Historically, MVPs come from teams that finish near the top of their conference. If OKC continues its upward trajectory and becomes a top 4 seed in the West, SGA's MVP case will be undeniable. His leadership, efficiency, and impact on both ends of the floor give him a real shot at being recognized among the league's best. So, if Shai is playing at an MVP level, what does the future hold for him and the Thunder? As we look to the future, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's trajectory seems almost limitless. Unlike players who rely solely on athleticism or physical gifts, Shai's game is built on a deep understanding of basketball fundamentals. His ability to adjust, evolve, and maintain efficiency means his peak could last much longer than the typical explosive guard. Skill set that ages. Well, one of the most exciting aspects of Shai's potential is how well his game is poised to age. Unlike guards who rely on speed and jumping ability, Shai's craftiness, IQ, and mid-range shooting will likely keep him effective for many years. His high basketball IQ allows him to make quick adjustments and consistently outsmart defenders, a skill that tends to improve with experience. Becoming a franchise pillar, as the centerpiece of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Shai is in a unique position. The team's future is in his hands, and with one of the deepest and most promising young cores in the league, OKC could soon be a perennial contender. As he continues to mature and develop alongside players like Chet Holmgren and Josh Giddey, Shai's leadership will only become more vital to their success. MVP and beyond. Shai's long-term potential extends beyond the MVP award. With sustained growth and continued dominance, Shai has the tools to become a franchise player who carries the Thunder to championships. He's already on the path to becoming one of the league's best, and as the Thunder rise in the standings, Shai's name will undoubtedly be mentioned among the greats.